Hi, this is Jonathan with Mentoring High School Robotics. Today we're going to be adding game objectives to our main sketch. Last time we just created our main sketch of our drivetrain. Remember, this was in the in-context editor, so this is a new part studio than the original part studio that had the drivetrain in it. So now here I'm going to redo the floor. I'm going to make it larger than it was when we did it for our original creating of the triad. This allows me to have enough space to do things like add game elements, like if I know that maybe there's a scoring element that we have to try to reach that's 2.5 feet tall and some dimension wide, right? So we can kind of see how large that is relative to our robot. Can move it around a bit. And when I originally recorded this, I thought it would be helpful to place it a certain distance away from the robot, but then quickly decided that I should just leave that able to move so I can drag it around as I wanted to. So in the main sketch, I'm going to label this sketch in particular as goal. That's where I'm going to put my goal type activities or sketches in. Then I'm going to create another sketch for the bumpers. I know my bumpers are going to need to be 5 inches tall, 3/4 inch thick. I know that I'm going to use pool noodles that are circular and about 2.5 inches. I'm going to constrain them to be tangent to each other and to the board, and then also constrain it tangent to the top side of the bumper. Just put everything kind of in place. And then I'm going to make the pool noodles 2.5 and make them equal to each other. Then I'm just going to add some construction lines here to kind of round out the shape of my bumper, not really caring where these are placed except for that one. I'm going to want to be right at the corner or right at the point. And then I'm just going to make these tangent to the circles, and that'll constrain everything up nicely for me, at least for the bumper geometry. And then I'm going to kind of decide how tall I want the bumpers to be relative to the ground. So I'm going to pick something like, 2 inches. That's going to really depend on the game of how high you want your bumpers to be, as well as the rules. And then I'm going to create a center line so that I can mirror my bumpers so that it's on both sides of the robot. So now I have a 2D sketch of my bumpers that it's in a separate sketch from all of my goal sketches, and then it's in a separate sketch from my drivetrain. So that allows me to have the different subsystems working together in one part studio, so I could see it all kind of in one sketch view, but allows me to, if I need to modify particular subsystems, I can do that within the main sketch itself. And it's at this point I realized that I did not use construction lines for that drivetrain, which I should have. So if you're doing this, make sure you do construction lines for that. It'll be nicer to look at, kind of utilization wise in the future. So now I'm going to movie magic jump cut, going back to my goals sketch, because I realized that I wanted to add a few more things on here. We have a size constraint typically derived from the rules or given from the rules. I'm going to create a box that is my size box. It's going to go from the front of the drivetrain rail to the back of the drivetrain rail, and then typically they give you some sort of starting height configuration limit, so something like 4 feet, so my robot can't extend outside of this when it's in its stowed configuration. I'm going to do another rectangle construction lines, and some rules specify an amount that you can go outside of the frame perimeter during gameplay. So let's say I think it was 16 inches in 2022. I'm going to use 16 inches there, and sometimes they specify how far up above the size box you can go for things like end game for climbing. So I'm going to specify something like 2 feet. So now in my main sketch I have an updated goals sketch to reflect the size of my robot that I can have. Also, let's say there's like a climbing element, I can add that to my goals sketch as well. Let's say that there is a objective that is a pole to hang on like the last couple of years. Let's say it's a 2-inch diameter pole. Let's say that measured from the ground it's something like 5 feet. So then I can include that information here in the main sketch goals sketch as well. Let's make that a little bit nicer looking. Let's change that. Now this doesn't have to be like a bar. It could just be like a circle in the air, and I could measure it that way. But at least this gives me an idea of like a structure that might be around that bar. and I can move this around based on when I need it during my design sketching session. It's something that I can have and move around in my goals.